Hello, welcome to this video. I'm Dave. Today I'm going to be messing around doing some odd jobs on the Mondeo. I'm thinking of taking the Mondeo down the 8-mile track at some point. So today I've got a cat that I'm going to empty and put on the Mondeo for when I'm racing. Over here. This actually arrived yesterday. So I'm going to just double check before I do anything that this does actually fit on the car. I'll just go underneath and line it up, and then I'm going to empty out the honeycomb inside, and I'll be adding a new R2 sensor with an elbow. This will just be for when I'm racing. Right, yeah, that lines up. If anything, when it's on the car underneath from this part to this part of the exhaust that's already there, if anything, it's just minimal too short, but I can sort that out if need be, even if I have to chop it and just move it that way slightly. But the shape is okay. The sensor is in the same position. So yeah, now I'm going to attempt to empty this. I'm going to try from here. If need be, I will cut it here and get in there and weld that back on. Got some persuading tools. Crack on, see what happens. I've never done one of these before. I've seen videos on YouTube. Feels quite solid in there, but I will get it out. As you know from my previous videos, I'm determined when I'm going to do something. Yeah, I've just put this. I use this in the old coronavirus thing now and again. I'm actually exempt. I don't know if this dust stuff is poisonous or what to breathe in. Yes, after all that banging and drilling, in the end, off camera, I cut this bit here. Cut that off because I wasn't getting it out like that. It was a couple of hours and still wasn't getting anywhere. Cut that off, pulled all that out. This is completely empty now. I'll zoom as close as I can to try and show you. Welded this along where my finger is. I think you can just see the line on camera, but I'm quite impressed that I welded it, smoothed it. Give it a coat of black heat resistant paint, and here is the elbow for the R2 sensor that just needs nipping up, and here's the R2 sensor with the other half of the elbow. The sensor's in there. And this is the paint that I used, VHT, very high temperature, flame proof. I've used it before, it stays on a while. I think eventually it might start to flake off a bit. We'll see what happens anyway. Just tidied it up. Alright, so that's fitted on there. Got my R2 sensor in, got it bolted in. I'll start it up, see what it sounds like, and maybe give it a quick test drive through Mexico, and then if all goes well, I'll be able to use this for when I'm racing. It's quite quick to just bolt in, just for nuts and bolts to undo. And the sensor on my cat, I've still got the sensor on my cat, so just plug that in. Yeah, it seems okay, sounds okay. Wouldn't say it's any louder, don't know if it's any faster. Yeah, if anything's improved, I'd say that there was a slight bogginess when I set off in first before. It seems to have improved that. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. It does pull away better in first, as what I said earlier. So that'll be good, that'll be helpful to get off the line on the drag strip, I guess. And also using this, it enables me to be able to use launch control and rev limiter. Can't really use that with the cat on, not very well anyway, it damages the cats. And on my bench down here I've got a button that I'll be adding on to the gear stick similar to the Fiesta. I'll just turn the camera around and show you. Yeah, I've got this button here. If you're old enough to remember from the 80s, the kids used to have the yellow police, ambulance, fire engine sirens on the push bikes. This is off one of those. Got exactly the same button in my Fiesta, just underneath the gear knob. I find it easier there. I always have my hand on the gear stick, obviously racing, because you're going to change gear. Just below the gear knob, press that for the launch control. Yeah, I've not actually got a launch control unit to fit yet. So that'll be in a separate video when I get around to buying one of those and fitting it. Yeah, and in this box here, got a brand new radiator off eBay for the Mondeo, so I'll crack on and fit that. I think I mentioned in the video when I was fixing the faulty fuel pump that I'd noticed the radiator was leaking, but I said I'll sort this problem out first and do a few hundred miles, make sure it's okay. The radiator is only leaking intermittently, a little bit from the bottom of the radiator on the passenger side. I've topped it up a little bit, not much at all. So yeah, I'll crack on and fit this. Right, so I've undone the fan. There was a bolt each side at the top, 10mm nut, undone that, lifted the fan up. I think I can just leave it there. In the hinge manual it says to drop it out the bottom, that ain't going out there. I think that's fine out of the way. The radiator does drop out the bottom. Down here we've got these, there's 4 of these 8mm bolts, and they're not very good. I knew from last time that they'd probably round off. 2 at that side, this bracket comes off, then this bracket comes off, then the radiator will come down. Obviously when I've undone the hoses. I'm at the moment banging a 7mm spanner on here with a punch and a hammer. I cracked the other 3 off. This one is loose now after messing around with a 7mm spanner. So I'll look in my tin and see if I've got any more bolts the same thread as this, because like I say, I knew from last time that these were going to be worn. I think we've got it. Right, I'll leave the other 2 in, like I say, they're cracked off. I'll drain the coolant out. Right, I've drained the coolant. There's just one more bolt at each side holding the aircon radiator to the coolant radiator. Loosen them off, so I'll undo them. And I've just put, see through the grill there, that yellow orange rope. Just put that around the aircon radiator just to help hold it up while I drop the coolant radiator. And every 10-minute job turns into a half-hour job. I had cracked off those two bolts holding the aircon radiator in, but this one I had to grind off. I'll spin the radiator around now. Yeah, that captive square nut just kept spinning in its plastic case in there because the end of the bolt's all rusty. And just here, where you can just see these pink bits, that's where it was leaking. Yes, I got my tap and die set out, redid the threads where the radiator bolts go. Got these bolts out of my tin, chopped the ends off because they were too long. I don't need the nuts, just the bolt and the washer. And I'll put copper grease on all the bolts that go back in. There we go, all in. Just topping it up with coolant. Let it warm up and bleed itself with the cap off. Put the cap on, go down the road. Check the level again, but then obviously I'll check it tomorrow morning after it's been stood all night. Hopefully that's it. Yes, I'm going to end this video here. If you enjoy my videos, please remember to like and subscribe to see new videos coming in. Thank you for watching.